Kia ora. Kia ora. That's better. Inoi tātou, let us bow our heads in prayer. E tō mātou mātou i te rangi, kia tapu tuingoa, kia tā mātou rangitirutanga, kia me te au toi pai ai ki rungo o te whenua. Ki rea te ana ki tō te rangi, o mai kia mātou i nai nei. He tarama mātou mō tēnei rā, mura mātou hara. Me mātou hoki muri nei, e utu anana kia mātou. Au hoki mātou e kāwea, kia whagoainga, engari, hakaranga mātou i te kino, no hoki, te rangatiratanga me te kaha me te kōrea. Ake, amine. Te rangatira, e koe mā, e kura mā, ngā iwi ngā hau e whā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Amahi nui, kia koutou. I tai mai i tēnei rā mō tāki ki te tūmanako kia no te paimata kuikui, i tēnei rā whakahira. Kia kira wai ware ki te hungangaro atu i te tirohanga kanohi. Ngā mate, ngā ai tū koutarā mātou whakareki hia ki te aro tangata, haere. Nau mai haere mai, i te whenua rangatani o mano tū, ngā mihi nui, kia koutou. The horizon's good guys, kei te ora te wai, kei te ora te whenua, kei te ora te tangata. Anei rā mātou tu rōpū kura ki nei raro i tu korowai o tarangi Māori e. Ki te kawa nei ki rungi o te kaupapa o te rā. E tau nei tēnei rōpū ngā waha kōrero, hei whakamārama, hei whitipiti kōrero, a whakaro e pāna ki te kaupapa o te rā. Hutia tere tō tarakeke. Kei te kōmoku e ko, ka rere ki uta, ka rere ki tai ki mai ki au. He hata minui o tau, mā kui ki atu, he tangata, he regional council. I roto i te paipira tapu, ko te whakapono te tumanako me te aroha, me nui o te rangi Māori e. Just a brief translation, if you wonder why I'm up here going like this, I'm in the early stage of Parkinson's, but the good thing about that is I'm ready for a haka. So none of you fellas play up, Mana and I will be going straight into it. The karakia for you who don't know what it was the Lord's Prayer, and I always use that one because it says it's all encompassing. It says, our Father, not them and those and whoever, but all of us. And of course, went on to honour those who have gone on before us. And then ask for God's blessing to be on your conference, on our conference today. And welcome to the kindest iwi in the country, Rangatani. Kia ora. Kia ora. That's right, I'm a bit worried. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Mata
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
A te urunga tū, te urunga tapu, te mauri tū, te mauri tapu. Te mauri, te whiwhia, te mauri, te rawea, te mauri, no he, no runga, no rangi, no nuku tū. Tēnei te mauri ka whakapiki, tēnei te mauri ka whakakake. Te mauri o ngā tupua, te mauri o ngā atua, te mauri nā rangi whakaputa ki te whai au ki tau marama. Tēnei te mauri o te kaupapa e tū nei. Ka turuturu ōpiki whakamaua kia tēnā, tēnā haumi e hui e, tai ki e. O tira, e te minenga, nau mai, whakatau mai ra. O tira, koutou, haere tawhiti mai, haere tata mai. Tēnei, te taki nei, i te kupu whakatau kia koutou, ko whakaeke mai nei. Nei anō te reo karanga o tararua maunga e tū mai nā. Te reo karanga o manawa tū awa e tere atu nei. Te reo karanga o te iwi kāinga e tū nei, ko rangitāne, nau mai, whiki mai, kake mai. O tira koutou ngā iwi o te motu, haere maira. Ko ia nei, ko te papaioia, te wāhi kua whiriwhiri hia, hei wāhi wānanga mā koutou i tēnei tau. Nō reira, nau mai, me ki, hoki mai, te nuinga o koutou, kua taike mai, ko nei, ki tēnei, ki ienei o ngā wānanga, o tira tēnei ka mihi atu. Hua anō, koutou, te tira whakahaere o tēnei kaupapa, ko koutou tērā, i āta noho, i āta wānanga, kia whiriwhiri hia, kei hea ka tū te kaupapa nei. Nō reira tēnei te mihi atu. Tēnei a rangitāne mihi atu kia koutou, mo te whakaaro nui, kia hoki mai kone. Hua anō, nei te reo mihi, ki te reo karanga, ki ngā manu ti ori. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, te tuku nei, i ngā kupu tuatahi, kia rangona nei, e te motu, ki tā koutou nei reo, tā koutou nei reo tuatahi, tā koutou nei reo, e kōrero nei, o ngā tini āhuatanga o te ao tawhito, o tira taino atu ki ngā āhuatanga o te rangi tonu nei. Nō reira tēnei ka mihi atu, tēnā kōrima. O tira, e mihi nei, ki tēnei tira e noho mai nei. Tēnei hunga e noho tangata whenua mai, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou te kite atu nei i ngā kaimahi o te rohe nei. E tikana kia whakapiri mai, kia whakatata mai, kia mātou te haukai. Nō reira tēnei ka mihi atu. O tira koutou ngā manuhiri o te motu tēnei ka mihi atu. Ko ia nei, ko te karakia tuatahi kua whakatakotoria ki te mauri nei. E mihi kau atu nei ki tēnei o ngā mauri. Tēnei mauri i tīmata mai tōna hikoe, te tai tokera, i Waitangi. Ko ia tērā, kua kawea mai nei i ngā wāhi o te motu, ko ia nei te mauri i Puritia, i te āhuatanga o te wānanga, i Puritia, i te tau o te wānanga, i Puritia, i te rangi mārie, i Puritia, tonutia nei, i te aiotanga o te tangata. Nō reira, koe ana ngā mihi kua tukuna ki aia, ki tēnei o ngā Māori, ko ngā hau e whā o te tai tokera, tōna ingoa. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi kau atu ki te Māori nei. Tēnei Māori e pai here tia nei te tangata. Hua no koutou, e hoa mā, tēnei ka mihi atu, Mike, Craig, tēnā kōrua, tēnā koutou, koutou e kokiri nei i ngā tini tangata kia hui mai konei, te roto i te papai uru. Tēnei te mihi kauatu, kia kōrua, tēnā kōrua, tēnā kōrua, tēnā kota. O tī rā, me mihi kauatu nei, ki enei taiohi, e tūtū mai nei ki muri ahau, me te nui o ngā tautoko, ia te wā, ka puta mai enei taiohi ki te tautoko i ngā kaupapa o te iwi kaina. Ahakoa, mo ngā hau e whai enei, he kaha tautoko mai nei, ai ngā kaupapa katoa o te rohe nei. Nō reira manukura tangata tēnei te mihi atu, tēnā kota. O tira, kāre kumeroa te kōrero, tēnei te mihi atu, kia koutou, ko tai mai nei, ko te manako ia, matāne, marongo, tēnei kaupapa e atawhai, e manaki, e tiaki. Kia pai ai ngā kōrero katoa ka puta, i ngā rōpū katoa, kawanatanga mai, rōpū pākihi mai, rōpū hāpori mai, ka mihi nei ki te katoa, kia pai ngā wānanga e tū nei, kia pai hoki ngā kai kouhou, e taki nei i ngā kōrero hangai ana ki tēnei kaupapa, ko ia rā te whakatau ki rā, haumaru koi ora, kia pai āmua, tika tonu tērā, mō ngā uri whakatipu, Hioe no, tēnei te mihi kauatu. Ai, ka nui tērā, ka nui aku pahupa. Tēnā koutou, huri noa, tēnā hui tātou katoa.
Wiwi no e hine ko ai tō ingoa e kawe ai koe o mātua ki te waitua e māku e tapatu i te ingoa o tō tupuna whakaewa i te rangi e hine noho mai e hine roto i te whare tai whetuki i te whare no Arangi ka patua e tāne, hei tope i ana toko, i a toko huri nuku, i a toko huri rangi, i a rākau tuke, i a rākau koki. Nā toko e hine i toko nai te rangi rungane. Toki tēnā i tope ai ngā ngaru ki te tangata nā waira e mau e ki atu nā te kahui pō. Nā pou titi, nā pou tāhae, nā pou kōrero, nā kahutaringa i tiki ki roto whare kura e hine.
Nei, ka whai ia ki te uru tawhinui a tāne waiora, tāne pukenga, tāne wānanga, tāne whakaputa nei ki te whai au ki te omarama. Tū kia mana, kia tuhi te rarama, tēnei au te noho matāra nei. Ka turu ōpiti whakamaua kia tīna. Mauri e, hui e.
Ai e.
Tira tēnei te mini kia koe pā. Nōi para i te ara i tēnei rā, e pai ai tā rātou whakatiki ngā mani kei te aroro. Tēnā rā tātou katoa, e tuake nei ko manukura, kura manukura, from just up the hill in Aokautere, just behind Mihi there. Thank you for everything that you do. Ara te kōrero e mea ana, patungarongaro te tangata toitu, te whenua, as people pass on, the land, the environment remains. Ara ko tātou tēnā e pukumahi ana, ko koutou tēnā e pukumahi ana, kia toi tū tonu te whenua. Nā reira, tēnā tātou tātou.
Muru! Wā!
Mai mai ta koi koi, muri nei ta
O te rā, manukura tangata, manukura taiohi, nei te mihi kau atu ki a koutou. Te haramai nei tēnei rangi, te kawea nei, te tautoko nei, i te iwi kāinga, o te rā te whakangāhau atu ki tēnei tira ko tatu mai nei i te rangi nei. Hua no tēnā koutou, manukura, tēnā koutou katoa. So I'm going to hand it over to Craig now.
How do you go to school after starting the day like that? So tēnā koutou. Ko Craig Davey tuka ingoa. No Wanganui aho. Ki Horizons aho. E mahi ana. Tēnā koutou. Kia ora, Biosecurity wānau. Thank you for being here, and from the look of you guys, you are as excited as me for being here in Palmerston North and at NETS for a few days to wrap ourselves up in all things biosecurity. So I'm going to be bringing it down a level because I've got to do some housekeeping. But hey, we all got to get along for 3 days, right? So to enable the smooth running of the conference, I'm going to give you a bit of a service announcement from the venue, but also, thank you, so we get things done nice and smoothly. So if you have any questions, first thing to know, talk to the conference organiser, Carolyn, or Ev out the back. You can come and ask me, and I'll just go and ask Carolyn. First thing to know. Second thing to know, the Maori stone. It's travelled a long way from Paihia to Invercargill to Palmerston North. It carries the energy of these conferences, so touch it, engage with it, impart your Māori into this Maori stone. Give it some energy, give it some love. Alrighty, just so you didn't know, male and female toilets are located at both levels, ground floor and first floor. There's also disabled toilets on each floor as well. The Palmy Conference and Function Centre is a non-smoking facility. Smokers are encouraged to use the back exit doors and to smoke at least 5 metres away from these doors, out that way. First aid kit is available in the main office if paper cuts happen, not sure. If you need one, it's at the main office. And a defibrillator is available on the ground floor. next to the unisex toilets. Please make yourself aware of the positions of all the emergency exits. So do my best interpretation of an Air New Zealand hostess or host. So we've got green signs, white writing, international symbol. So if we hear a siren, you're going to want to find that. If we do hear a siren, there's going to be people walking around in yellow jackets to guide you out. So where you're going to go, out the exit doors, and the assembly points are in the front grassy area or out the back car park, some way away from the building, because the siren's going to go if we're on fire. If it's an earthquake and we shake, battling and rolling, just shelter in place and we'll work out what happens after that. Righty. Phones off, please, or on silent, or on do not disturb. Don't be that person. There's plenty of breaks through the whole conference to catch up with your sharesies or your besties, right? Sessions. Cheers. Thanks. You're going to be the introducers, the icebreakers, and the firm timekeepers. Everybody else that's whipping between sessions, you're going to get your elevations in this week. Your step count's going to be high. You'll earn your smoko, because we have a session here in this room when we go concurrence, and then we have a concurrent session halfway up the stairs on the left and another one near the top. You've got 2 minutes to get between sessions. So if you're going to be flipping between, maybe sit further at the back. We've timed it, 1 minute 40 between here and the other one. So just, respect the other speakers that are presenting their good work. Try and be on time, definitely. When you do leave this building and we go to Smoko, there are 2 staircases. You can take a left and a right. If 50-50 do that, then we'll be nicely flowing up the stairs. Food's right above us. In the food hall, there are posters and there are trade displays. So, split your way up. You'll get up there quicker than all congesting. Other thing to do is note that you are on camera if you are presenting. So we're going to be able to have these talks available after NETS. And that's maybe a first for the Institute, but let's move with the times and get digital on it, right? So if you're up here and you're presenting and you don't want your image or your talk presented, have a chat to Carolyn and I don't know if we'll fuzzy face you out or something, or just not have it, but just so you're aware. And if you are presenting and you are a member and you're rising through the ranks of the biosecurity sector, you could win the coveted Stook Award. So no pressure, but the award recipient will be noted on Friday. So there's some great names on that stock, not me, but some other great names. I've mentioned Smoko upstairs, fantastic. And just a note for tomorrow, we're going to start at 8:30, but Rangatane protocol, tikanga, is to start the day with a Mihi whakatau. So please make sure you hear about it no later than 8:20. Lanyards. Make sure you got these on at all times. There can be some public walking through. There's food upstairs and the mix and mingles and the social events. Make sure you got your lanyards on at all times. And again, please interact with the Māori stone. Make it a living thing. Make it capture the essence of this conference. Right, to the welcomes. I'm going to introduce Shane Hona, who is Vice President for the New Zealand Biosecurity Institute, in the absence of the President, Rowan Sprague, who couldn't be here today. So I think it's like a for better or worse role, right, Shane? Shane's had 20 years of experience in biosecurity work, starting from Manaaki Whenua, but plenty as well. So Shane, if you could do the official NZBI welcome.
Haere mai and welcome to NETS2025. Thank you to Craig and the organising committee and everyone who's made this conference happen. Thanks also to all of the sponsors. The New Zealand Biosecurity Institute is a networking organisation for all of those working in New Zealand's biosecurity system. The key aims of the NZBI are to connect people working across the New Zealand biosecurity system to share, learn, and in doing so lift overall performance. NETS is our annual conference where we connect people and organisations to share knowledge in biosecurity. The theme of this conference is Haumaru Koi Ora Kia Pai Amua, Biosecurity for a Better Future. This theme recognises the importance of biosecurity for a thriving New Zealand. It connects to why we do the work we do over the long term, keeping at it to protect our native flora, fauna, our landscapes, our people and our culture. Over the next few days, we'll get to learn about how we're all working for a better future. Craig and the organising committee have put together a fantastic program and field trips. But we also have so much experience and expertise in this room. I encourage you all to take advantage of this. NETS is as much about learning as it is about networking. Even if you've been to lots of NETS conferences before, make sure you talk to someone new and learn about the work they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Righty, we're going to crack on, and we have some time, which is fantastic. So we're now going to have a welcome to the Horizons region. And who better to do that than the CEO of Horizons Regional Council. So Michael McCartney, born and raised in the Manawatu, educated at Massey, regional planning degree, spent 30 years in local government and 20 plus of those as our chief executive. He's also a sector leader and wanted to introduce himself mostly because the list is too long. So Michael, welcome.
Kia ora, Craig. Make me feel old. Tuatahi e tu atua mana ki te amatou. Tēnā tātou te whānau, kau tai mai nei, I tēnei rā ki rāro, e te tūne, o tō tātou nei whari, kei te mihi, kei te mihi, kei te mihi. Ki te tangata whenua, tēnā koutou. Ki te manihiri, tēnā koutou. Ki oko hoa mahi, tēnā koutou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody. Great to have you all here joining us in the mighty Manawatu. A place very dear to my heart. So my job is briefly, and I'll be brief, just to sort of provide some context, and Craig will get a bit more detail around Horizons region. So a bit about me, I guess. That picture there kind of sums me up, and you might see a bit of this later in your trip. So born and bred, as Craig said, in the Manawatu, have an extremely privileged position to be able to lead Horizons, which is an exceptionally effective, wonderful organisation for the last 20 years. And you don't stay in the chief executive role for 20 years because, you know, you're bored with it. Every day is a treat, and I've been lucky to surround myself with great people and see a lot of change over the years. But the reason that place is important, two things for me: whānau, which is my family. You'll note that I'm in the kitchen taking the photo out the window, cooking the meal, and my family at the edge drinking wine. But also my place is shrouded under the shadow of Rahini. So I sit below the mountains, which is important to me, overlooking Tautara Reserve, a place of education in days gone by, a place of learning, and now a place that kind of resembles what we can achieve through pest control, biodiversity enhancement, and the like. So you'll get to see a bit of that if you're going on the Tautara Reserve trip. By all means, pop up to my place. The lawns might need mowing, and the ride-on mowers in the shed. So if you want something to do, by all means, do it. So yeah, as I said, in my early days, I owed my career, I guess, or at least my pocket money to buy Matchbox toys to pests. Born and bred in farming fraternity, skinning possums, selling possum skins, buying toys. That was kind of my early entry into pest management. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Your conference today is timely, largely because of what's happening across the sector, what's happening in this space, and I'll talk a bit more about how I feel that our biosecurity effort is getting lost in all the other noise. In actual fact, it's probably one of the most critical aspects of what you do and we do as a nation going forward. But if I hit a clicker, which I do, right here, we'll go to the next slide. So our region. Firstly, we are 8% of New Zealand's land area. Whether that's something to crow about, don't know, but 8%. 260,000 population, defined by mountains, rivers, forests and farmland. So for those who've been around a while and remember the days of the catchment boards, the pest destruction boards, our regional councils has maintained strongly those traditions over the years. And you'll see from Craig's commentary, pest management is a big part of our core business. A large area of land, diverse population, widely spread, and a lot of forest cover. So really welcome those from our Crown representatives, Department of Conservation, and others here that we need to partner with and do partner with in terms of this mahi around pest control and pest management. Importantly for us, the economy is largely built upon our primary sector. So anecdotally, I heard that 60% of the lambs grown and exported from New Zealand are grown within 2 hours' drive of the fielding sale yards. Whether that's true or not, don't know, but it's kind of folklore. But primary sector is really important, and we all know the importance of biosecurity in particular to the resilience and future of our primary sector across the board. Our region's made up of a variety of communities from the north in Ruapehu, where we have large areas of forest, native forest, national park, right through to the plains of Manawatu, which is highly productive in terms of its farming activities. Rivers, mountains, and forests shape our community. And we have our no end of challenges around how those interact with each other, and flooding and flood management, soil erosion, all those things are important. And you'll find when you talk about things like soil erosion, the interconnectedness between pest management and land stability. We all know that, and it's important. So the work you do is part of a bigger matrix of whole catchments and how they work together. So the challenges for us specifically as a region, probably very similar to many other regions. I guess the different dynamic here for us is the emergence of new pests that are happening almost daily, aided and abetted by climate change. From my personal view, and Craig might have some thoughts around this, I think one of the most challenging areas of pest control is plant pest management. The numbers of species, the difficulty to tackle them is a very big job. And I know you all might feel as though sometimes it's a lost cause, but it's not. We have to keep the game going. In our region, much like any, things like feral deer are becoming an increasing concern for us as the hunting fraternity can't keep on top of the numbers. And the dear old friends, the possums, which I think, we've got a very good program that's been running for a number of years in that area and made some real gains. But the problem with pest management, and particularly when it comes to a financing question, political support for rates or taxpayer money, it's money upon money upon money. You don't just spend money and that's the end of it, that's the ceiling out. You get more pests, more growth, more control. Therefore, to maintain your efforts and push them forward, you need more investment. And probably the biggest challenge amongst all those is actually getting the mandate to do the work and for our communities to fund it. And that's very hard in an environment now where there is talk about rates capping for local government. How do you achieve those outcomes? The classic one for us at the moment collectively is the Jobs for Nature work that's come to a close and all the successes around that. We all know that many of those projects, unless they continue to be funded, the value will be lost because things like pests will come back as they do. So our job is to advocate strongly to government and leaders about how we actually keep the momentum going and see this as a key investment for our future as a country. The wider challenges, these are things for you to think about, I believe, in your couple of days in our wonderful part of the country. How do we get the mandate from the community? How do we get the cut through with government and political leaders around the importance of this? And it frustrates me personally that when you think about biosecurity, it gets silenced in the commentary around, we need to gain more market access. We need to get our product into market. We need to grow our export economy. We need to do all these things. That's perfectly fine. But you can only do that if your product is robust, resilient and safe. And I think our government needs to understand that what's at the beginning of this is a resilient primary sector that is dealing with pest management, that is shoring up the safety of its product, so that entry into those markets is easy and accepted and not rejected, as it can easily be when we're a small player in the global market and people are looking for excuses for us for a product not to be taken from this country. So I think the big challenge for the biosecurity sector is to how do we monetise, in the language of the government today, the value of what we do. Put some numbers around it, put some data around it. The sector's done this in relation to our flood management programs with government through a thing called Before the Deluge. And we've highlighted that the return on investment per $1 is huge for flood protection. The value of the assets across the country in the order of $5 billion, it protects $15 billion worth of assets. So we need to start to talk about numbers more with this government so we can see that without that investment, you are not only losing opportunity, you're actually exposing ourselves to risk. That's a challenge for our entire country. It's a challenge for our local councillors when they think about rate increases. It's a challenge for central government when they talk about things like rates caps and core services for local government. Having just attended a local government conference in Christchurch, and hearing ministers talk about local government core services, when they rattle off the services, I note with interest pest management, biosecurity management, biodiversity was not mentioned in any of that commentary. But critically, it's an important element. So we need to reach out to our primary sector industry, partner with them on their own initiatives. I know the Vineyard Association are looking at a biosecurity strategy for 2026. We need to think about how do we partner them to join us into advancing this cause to central government, because voices from industry will get more cut through than voices from public service. One way we can do that is think about delivering what we do differently. This is a memorandum we signed with Biosecurity New Zealand, Department of Conservation, and Te Urika Hika, which is the collective group of all the regional and unitary councils that were brought together. I've got to say, having been 20 years in chief executive role and chaired the regional sector chairs, CEs for a number of years, about 15 of those, the one constant that's maintained momentum between central and local government chief executives is the Biosecurity, Biodiversity Initiative. People like Lou Sanson set it up when he was there for DOC, and it's maintained its presence for some time because we understand the importance. I personally believe this memorandum is a starting point from which we can look at how we better deliver services, and we've got to be open to the mechanisms, the institutional arrangements of how we do that. There's still a lot of efficiency opportunity about what we do across sectors and across departments. And I think if we can get to an action type approach, this is a lot about expressing desire, intent, collaboration, cooperation, all those things, all those words we use. We've got to convert that into real programs of action that are efficient and we can sell the value and we all buy into as a country. These are things you'll talk about over the next few days. Don't work too hard though. Please enjoy the fruits of our region. We've got many treasures here. Spend lots of money when you go out for dinner, and if you kick on, spend lots of money when you kick on. But hopefully you'll see a bit of a snapshot, and hopefully, and we will extend our friendships and our manakitanga to you all while you're here. So, ngā mihi nui, enjoy your time, and when you leave, safe travels, and if you have any questions, please ask Craig. So, over to you.
Thank you. While my slides are loading, we have a challenge to pick up from Michael around how do we promote biosecurity, how do we get in the polly's faces, how do we own the newspapers, right? So hey, NETS week is Biosecurity week. So Biosecurity week, theme to NETS, grab your comms people, grab your reporters, grab your Facebook thumbs and make sure what you do is visible to others, you know. It's a great opportunity for us to share what we do on the back of NETS. So if you go home and do it, great. But it's not just 1 week, right? If we could have every week as Biosecurity Week, then Biosecurity maybe would be more at the fore of some of these higher level discussions. Right. I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown over the whole region. And as Michael said, why wouldn't you want to be here? Mountains, rivers, farmland, forests, plains. What a wonderful place to live. So I'm the Biodiversity Biosecurity Manager, been at Horizon since 2003. But in the manager role since 2021. Hamaru koiora kia pai a mua, biosecurity for a better future. You know that's correct. Hopefully that's why you're here. And NETS is a celebration and also an exploration of how to realise that statement. Biosecurity is a system. It's actions and it's getting stuff done. Biosecurity preserves what we have and protects our values. One of them that we hold dear is our natural identity. And the secret's in the name. The secret is in the name, securing the ability for ecosystems to function as they had since before organisms turned up and thought, oh, I like this vulnerable landscape, let's invade. And it's securing primary industry's ability to continue producing, or at least make a profit, as effective biosecurity minimises loss and input costs. The concept of spending $1 to save many is the biosecurity story. Just like the example of infrastructure protection that Michael used for the deluge, we have those examples here. Investing in pest conifer control and spread prevention has a national cost to benefit ratio of 1 to 34, though in one region it's as high as 1 to 90. Chop some trees down, folks. Investing in unconventional biological control tools such as ragwort insects has returns of 1 to 14. We're doing the good stuff in biosecurity. You do biosecurity. We identify our most valued. Where we can, if we have the tools, the resources and the public mandate, we are working against the worst transformer species. So how do we do that? By working with a community focus, the validation of the values and the effort needed to protect them, working connected across landscapes to eliminate the gaps created by organisational priorities and identifying a common vision. We work persistently for the long haul because you're only as good as what you can resource tomorrow. And by working proactively with agility, being able to survey on a frequency that allows successful action or respond with purpose when a new incursion is discovered. We've heard the saying, 1 year's seeding makes 7 weeding. In the case of velvet leaf, it's 60 years weeding. Right, so we're now going to go on a mountains to the sea journey through my region, looking at a few examples of how some of that working with biosecurity is part of what we do here. We're going to stay on the intro slide for a bit. The examples of working around the mountain capture with a community focus, connected across landscapes and working persistently. Mount Ruapehu and the Tongariro National Park, slightly captured in that photo. It should be rock, it should be tussock grasslands, alpine herb fields, shrublands and beech forests, not pine trees. Protecting the maunga, as you can see from this image, the work goes back into the mists of time, with the Defence Force taking action on their training grounds from the 60s. We add in the Wanganui Tramping Club, Upper Hutt Tramping Club, other groups and locals working on the mountain for what has become now the longest running sole-focused community group effort in the country, giving up their weekends and voice to push back against invasive pines. And it's been over 60 years of the community saying, our mountain and the Tongariro National Park needs help. As the community groups battled and the army burned, impacts were being noticed across the central North Island. Together is better, so in 1982, this is some time ago, county councils, the Forest Service and Lands and Survey gathered with the Defence Force. And the first step in solving any problem is to make a committee. So, not the most exciting side, but black and white proof that the Pinus Contorta Committee formed in 1982. They joined with a single focus, a collective vision, the removal of contorta to protect our mountain. They didn't just use saws, they used pens. And they went to the government, they used the Noxious Plant Act, and they successfully applied for Pinus contorta to become a noxious plant, commonly called unwanted organisms now. So the next day they went, hey, government, thanks for calling it a noxious plant. How about some putia? And so back in the day, they got equivalent of $2.8 million very shortly after rolling through the paperwork. And that $2.8 million paid for a lot of control around the mountain. Today, we're down at very low levels. And today, the Pinus Contorta Coordinating Committee, rebranded as the Central North Island Wild and Conifer Group, still exists and still meets every couple of years. And its work is aligned with the national program that's been a new instigation in wilding control across the country. But we hark back to 1982 as one of the major turning points in pest conifer control around Tongariro National Park. But it wasn't just Tongariro National Park that needed to be protected from what was in it. It needed to be protected around it. So removing risk from the landscape necessitated working away from the mountain. And through successive pest strategies and plans, pest conifers have been targeted by council staff, forestry companies and private landowners. So I've got this cool pointer maybe? Ooh. Maybe not such a cool pointer. Oh no, there it goes. It's so smart. So yeah, just zeroing in. So this is some of the Horizons work. We've got technical issues. Or I'm just not technically advanced. Anyway, we've got some great graphs that show data that's collected, by the pest plant team tracking change over time. And we've got infestations diminishing, going down, and we've got area looked for going up. And one of the graphs at the bottom there's got a ginormous jump up. Thank you, Sherman. That's the National Wild and Quantified Control funds coming into our region to help support infestation management, which is fantastic. Right, we're going to move on from green to yellow. And I'd just like to say a big thanks to what's now called the Bioeconomy Science Institute, Manaaki Whenua Landcare Research. This is the 2012 version of CGI at its best. And this is when this project started. What you're looking at is the potential for leguminous plants to take over the maunga and the area around it. And this was noticed as an increasing threat. We had green pine trees, then we had purple heather, biocontrol starting to eat the heather. The yellow peril of leguminous plants is a significant risk to the central North Island, identified and tackled collectively by 10 agencies working together with a collective vision. It's been 13 years, over 23,000 hectares. So aligned contractors and remote data collection to help us stay on track and let our vision be realised, which is the unique natural environment, iconic vista and cultural significance of the Desert Road is protected from invasive legumes. Lake O, a great example of working persistently and proactively. The mountain, still seeing it, we're going to get away from it soon, get down to the coast, but on our travels, we're stopping at the lake, which is our largest, the largest source with the mountain of the Whanganui River. That lake is a constructed hydro lake, a trophy trout lake. It's a shallow lake though, at huge risk from hornwort, and now, as Michael said, the next big pest that's come around, gold clam. But it's okay. Horizons, DOC and Genesis are working together, and since 2011, we have been monitoring and looking after a weed cordon, borrowed and copied from Bay of Plenty Regional Councils. There's lots of learnings between councils. Our weed cordon is to be a preventative tool in the spread of hornwort from boats that may turn up from Taupo. And so far, it's working. But we also endeavour to change the behaviour of all users, not just put physical tools in place. And so we do that by Love Lake O promotions. And also special interactions. So visitors and locals alike are treated to creative and cut-through messaging delivered throughout the central North Island by an award-winning freshwater advocate, someone who lives and breathes Kaitianga, who captures what essence of the lake is and the essence of our rivers are and tries to impart that to the people that use them for recreation, but are also potentially carrying freshwater pest risks. So Didimo Dave is going to be here this week, and you're going to be able to listen to him and catch up with him through the week. I think it's Didimo Dave, not Victor the Viking or Dame Didimo Davina. We're going way fast. Look, sometimes it's not just the place, but it's who shares the place with us, right? So the whio's our signature species on our poster. It's one of our rarest birds, but ironically it's quite easily encountered, especially if you spend time in our sea and our rivers. Why is that so? Well, this is why it's so. The Kia Whareti project is one of the reasons whio are abundant. There is 190,000 hectares within that ginormous blob. I'm going to give this a go again. And within that 190,000 hectares, there's a whole lot of community groups, Ngā Whenua Rāhui and the Department of Conservation working with Horizons since 2008, spending about $500,000 to $750,000 a year across Battle for the Birds 1080 drops, targeted goat culling, Horizons Regional Council possum control operations, 1,000 traps along the Manganui Otiao and Retiroki rivers for whio, and along with 500 traps in 2 locations for brown kiwi. I won't go into too much of the detail, but if you put information on a map, you might as well put more information, right? So that's about 9% of our region, you can see in the small box down below. It's a big chunk of dirt, and we're actually making a difference. Since 2008, we started with 15 pairs of whio. We now have 57, and our target was 50. So we're doing okay. When we monitor, or when the kiwis are monitored, they're significantly increasing as well. So we are making a difference, working connected across landscapes. We don't do this alone. Any guess what the species is? Come on, give me a mahaui. Excellent. So working persistently. This is a before, a during and an after photo. So mahaui, a great indicator species for possum browse, right? It's one of the more visible benefits for biodiversity in Horizon's possum control operations, along with production benefits from maintaining the populations that we do have to very low levels. So we have followed on from successful TB management as osprey exit. We've been maintaining the gains over vast areas since 2006. We've got strong community support for this long-running program, and it does help that farmers' roses have never looked better as well. So we're moving from the carcasses to the size of the program. So it's a big one. We have the whole region pretty much covered up into PCOs, Possum Control Areas 170 potential. We're only working in 157 at the moment. Not quite there yet. We're getting there. So covering private land, almost all private land that is suitable habitat that can have our bait station network installed has. Not everywhere, because there's lots of topography and land cover that we can't put bait stations, but we've got 16 staff, as it says there, and a whole bunch of contractors out there working for us. 1.7 million hectares will be under our bait station networks when we finish. What are we achieving? Well, we've started measuring it. So in the last 8 or so years, we've added a monitoring component to what was an input-based program. That supports management decisions and effectiveness reporting. This year's results for 36 monitored jobs was equivalent to a population of where we'd worked of only 1.9% RTC, which if you know your possums, less than 10 is good, less than 5 is way much better, and 1.9 is very, very good. So the team and the contractors just persistently, diligently out there doing it. But we have some challenges. So what you're looking at now is a digital display of our bait stations over a whole chunk of area in the Tararua. That whole area is about to become permanent forest. And hey, some pine trees are good, but it's created challenges for us to deal with possum control. We've got what was 240 stations, now would require heaps more. So we have issues of access, and we have issues of habitat increase, creating more potential sources for possums. So this is just making us stop and pause and think, how do we do this? Does it necessitate additional approaches? Does the aerial become more of an option for us? Or do we use rules on landowners more so when what was a low abundant population start to head north? There's other challenges as well in the program. We've been using Biodiversity for a long time, and there's quite a bit of pressure on Biodiversity, as you know, especially when people want to harvest deer for sale. And so we'd really like to have a good chat, and there's others here today that would like to have a good chat with NPI around the regulations around Biodiversity. Alrighty, another way of working with the community focus. So here we have two separate groups that have worked with Horizons, come to Horizons, knocked on Horizons' doors and said, we've got Tutsin, the plant on the left, taking over our hill country in the Ruapehu. We've got field horsetail monstering our river flats in the Manawatu. What do we do? So that community focus concept gave us the impetus to work with the communities, to listen to them, and some of these, especially the Tutsin one, was a 10-plus year project. We took on their concerns and demand for action and saw that the solutions needed were for control, spread prevention, and protecting clear land. So what did we do? We looked at biological control, chemical control, pathway interventions, even extending to the couple of odd scientists. So we've got Hugh Gourlay there, since retired, and Trevor James as well, but instrumental in supporting community groups and conveying complex information and chemical control into, just really bite-sized chunks that farmers could use. So that the outputs of these projects both have gone down providing tools to communities that are battling these weeds. So we've got weeding out Tutsin and weeding out Horsetail. It's books that people can chuck in their utes and help them solve problems on the fly or for their farm. And also, we've been dabbling with biocontrol. Very successful for us in that we've got releases of insects across our region for both tutsin and horsetail now. All we've got to do now is hurry up and wait, which is the biocontrol mantra. The bugs will grow. Another way of working in our region, work proactively and with agility. What is that? Fringe water lily. Looks pretty, but it makes a pretty big mess as a summation. Now, what you're looking at there doesn't exist anymore, and it shouldn't have existed at all. The only previously known site in New Zealand was at Whangaparoa, removed decades prior. So when, in the spring of 2023, an eDNA hit from the Mangoni River Catchment Group water monitoring program flagged fringe water lily, staff jumped. Upstream trace surveying, no. Follow-up eDNA work in December, no. Broaden the search to the wider environment, success. Initially, the find was in February, early February. Help. What do? We've found the plant that shouldn't exist in New Zealand. So we've dialed in, again, another scientist. And scientists always get the good job, so that's Paul Champion wading through the pond there. So we had to assess what to do because this is a significant risk to waterways, right? We optioneered. The best outcome assessment was delivered, and March the 15th, look what turned up, a bulldozer. So you could spray some ponds, but let's just get rid of the pond. So working with the farmer, we managed to remove that infestation within 1 month of confirmation that we'd discovered it. So that's agile, that's getting stuff done. We discovered through this exercise that the source was an historic homestead, gave us a total of 3 ponds, but only 1 needed to be filled in. The other 2 were small enough that we could be treat them with glyphosate. No spread risk. Another example of working proactively. Finally, we've made it to the sea. Some call it the Western Riviera, others the Kapiti Coast or the Horowhenua Coast. So what you're looking at here is sea spurge, just adjacent to the pooch on the right-hand shot. First found along our coast at Himatangi by Arnhem Litek, who's here today, and we'll be talking later in the week. It's found in 2019. They're not discovered again until 2021 in a number of places through proactive surveillance by pest plant staff, plus a bit more from Arnhem. So we fast forward today, and we have present today as well in the audience a DOC fully supported full-time sea spurge coordinator for the western coastline from Wellington to north of New Plymouth. And that is such a successful model of working, as we see here, proactively to stop this plant establishing. In the image, we've got MPI, we've got the Department of Conservation, we've even got a local council worker from Horowhenua and pest plant staff. So it takes a village to beat some of these weeds, especially some so small as this. But what a success story. Now, building on the model from this coast that DOC supported, there's likely to be a coordinator run through Northland as well, with Northland Regional Council, MPI and DOC support. And it's needed because what was our coastline's story as being the worst sea spurge place in New Zealand is now Northland's. And as you'll know, just recently a new site was discovered right up in Spirits Bay in Cape Reinga. I think they came out last week. So we need to work proactively to beat these pests. That's what good biosecurity does, not waiting to fix them, getting in early. Righty-ho, we're back to where we started, in Palmerston North. So what you're looking at here is Te Apiti. Te Apiti is a blend of many of the concepts of biosecurity, security for biodiversity with a multi-layered community focus. It's working connected across landscapes. So Te Apiti is a special place. It's a place where east meets west and north meets south. It's one of only 2 places in the world where a river cuts through a mountain range. It's a focal point for the districts with walking, mountain, and now road biking, plus camping and river recreation. It's a Senate reserve and the hub of a geopark project. And those involved with managing and caring for it find it an aspirational place. It's not part of our field trip suite this week because there's some new work being done, but Te Apati's recently been rebranded. It is a wonderful place because it gives the community here the opportunity to engage with nature so easily. Being on the doorstep of Palmerston North, it's like a 10-minute drive. We have about 40,000+ people visiting it every year. So the work that we do in there gets a lot of traction. And let's describe Te Apati a bit more. So what we're seeing here is the many overlapping interests and groups that help make Te Apati what it is. So the dark green is the Scenic Reserve, that's the departments. The intersecting lines are the many partners, Palmerston North City, Tauranga District Council and Manawatu District Council. The brown snake is in the river. The brown snake is our new road. It's also an overlapping place for iwi. So we have 4 iwi represented, Rangatani o Manawatu, Rangatani Tamakinui Arua, Ngāti Kahununu and Ngāti Raukroa. What makes this a special project that brings biodiversity and biosecurity together in one place is that it has a vision, and that is that Te Apati Manawatu Gorge is a taonga of our region, a dramatic place with unique spiritual and physical features. These create enduring experiences for all, ensuring that it is valued and protected for generations to come. And it has direction. We know where we're going with this place. We have a master plan that describes current activity but also sets out a place to get to in the future. And it has support. So Te Apati has a governance group of mayors and chairs from the representing councils and also iwi representatives as well. So it has strong political support to enable budget and to enable the actions and aspirations to be realised in Te Apati. It also has activity. As mentioned before, with the track network, we're maintaining that, and it's closed at the moment because it's been redone, but it also has a whole lot of support from trapping. So we are looking at significant amounts of protection in Te Apati, both within and around it. So that's a screenshot of a whole lot of work that's going on. The large area around it is the PCO program. The high concentration is 2 bodies of work. The northern side is the work that's done by Fulton Hogan because of the road corridor in the Dock Estate. So there's a large amount of trapping. And in the southern side, where the blues are, that's the Southern Scenic Reserve that has a whole lot of trapping done through the Department of Conservation and also Horizon staff around the outside. So there's 620 traps through Te Apati, 1,535 bait stations, all with a purpose. And that is to ensure that we can reduce the population of pests to a point where we can start to reintroduce more species into Te Apati that are going to be better able to be engaged with the community. And so this is quite a complex graph. It shows our inputs along the bottom, when things happened, and it tracks the different metrics that we're chasing, particularly in the far right where we want to be. We want to be below 5% so that we can start to introduce species with safety. So the blue line, that shows that massive support that we can apply to Te Apati through having a governance group that backs us. So we've jumped up our pest control, and we've done it on the back of a wildlands report and staff input into clearly identifying and articulating what needs to happen to achieve our goals. And the last slide is one of our goals. So hopefully, if you're visiting Palmerston North in a few years to come, you're going to be able to interact with robins in a place of high public access and so close to the city. So that's our goal. And in a way, it mirrors where Biosecurity for the future and its message captures, right? Working with community focus and across landscapes with persistence and proactivity, we have a better future for little guys like this. Thank you.